Shout out to Florida. No, Texas rather. Texas. I still want you to keep in 2137. We got to talk about this. I saw MD. We had 402. I did not leave MD out. If this pen don't want to work. We had 402, right? I think I might have mentioned that number. That sum of six yesterday was very important for other states. So yesterday, guys, sums of nines, right? The 702s, the 441s, the 441, the 414s. A few states had 702s, but that's not what I want to talk about. We're gonna go ahead and look at MD while we're here, right? And guys, don't forget, guys, to factor in, you know, today's date, right? I'm talking about today's date. We are at 191 days in. Don't forget, guys, sometimes you can jump on these numbers. They might hit you early, they might hit you late. All right. So 402, we do know 402s, we might get 717 in MD. So we're gonna talk because and it was quite interesting from the messenger. Shout out to Say Cheese. Like I say, guys, you got a lot of social media influencers, man, and they share their insight. So long story short, he mentioned that Demetrious said that if you drive, basically that a Corvette is just like low budget, right? I mean, that's coming from a guy, guys. If you're not a stranger to this gentleman, I mean, just look him up. I believe he was a owner of a Maybach when it first came out. I believe 2004. I think they might have hit you 2003, and I believe it was a 62, right? If I'm not mistaken. So the brother said that basically just do you. Corvettes, the heart of America. You're quite. Normally, you see a lot of women driving Corvettes, and I think it's so cool to see a woman just laid back in her vet with her head on. And I mean, look, guys, whatever floats your boat, because like I say, we get social media mixed up with hardworking people, right? Corvettes. I believe I saw a tag on one of them one day. I think it was like 160, something like that, and I think it was like I'm not. I think it was a Stingray. And you have Stingrays, you have Z06s, and I'm reminded of Corvettes when I was in junior high school. Now, it was a brother. His name was Stefan. By way of Fort Todd, man, Washington D.C. Northwest. He had a Corvette, and I believe he was. I almost want to say, man, he was in high. He was in. I think he was in high school. But some of his, little young gentlemen, who hung with him, they was in junior high, and this is no exaggeration. When I was in junior high school, his little, his young man, little brother figures, they was coming to school in 85 vets. Now, if I was in junior high school and they was driving 85 vets, you give or take 91, 92, 93, that car's maybe 6 or 7 years old, but it's still a Corvette. Later on throughout the year, Stefan got older. The Corvette bodies got a little big. He was at a cookout one day at Rock Creek Park. That's the first person I saw who really turned me on to Silhouette Blues, aka Sabiatos and all that stuff. It was called Silhouette Blues. And I saw him. He was like, "What's going on, man?" I said, "Nothing too much." I always ask questions. I said, "Bro, where you get those shoes from?" He had like some Chuck. They was some diesels. They was a cream color, and they had some blue in it. And I swear to goodness, man, when he say, "Nah, they down Silhouette," us in DC, man, we don't gatekeep clothes, right? If you like something that somebody had on, no, I got this from such and such. It's cool. I went down Silhouette Blues and got me a pair of them, and I'm telling you, man, that is one of the notable brothers from DC. He's another one who can dress. Even before when wearing bald heads was frowned upon. Stefan had of him. He had a bald head, man, and So long story short, Corvettes, and as years went by, vets changed their bodies, and I mean, the price tag still is heavy. I remember one day hanging with my cousin and another guy, real close knit to the family, so have you. He had a Corvette, and we was hanging out one day, and man, I'm talking about it was so early in the morning. I was like, bro, I gotta go home, y'all. And he was just talking trash to people. He hops out of Corvettes like running water. And I think during this time, it had to be '09 or '08, because I remember him saying something slick like us Washingtonians do. He said, what you want? You want the '09 or you want the '06 or something? Talking about the Corvette, because whomever he was taking a shot at must have had an old Corvette, even though it was 2006 or something. I'm not really too sure about the year. So long story short, if I'm not mistaken, this gentleman, he came home, he, been away for a while and came right back and hopped right back in another Corvette. So what I'm saying is, the brother say Cheese was like, don't let nobody, tell you what and what not to drive. But in my era of coming up, picking cars out, and I can say that, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. A Corvette really probably wasn't never in the conversation, right? You had Dodge Stealths and Corvettes. Those, to my recollection, right? Those was like cars that you might wanted to get, in that mid '90s era to either switch your lanes or because you don't want to be like nobody else, and it wasn't nothing wrong with that, but you rarely heard of anybody getting a Corvette. But now I'm gonna turn it around, because this is where it gets tricky at. There was a gentleman had an NXX, right, an Acura. Y'all know those pretty cars y'all used to see. They still high as hell. I think a used one probably still costs maybe 50,000 if you can find the right one. He traded his NXX in for a brand new Corvette, right? And I'm talking about, oh my God, I think, what body was it? Who knows? But Corvettes have came a long way, Stingray, Z060s and all that. But I mean, man, American car, Chevrolet, man, a Corvette is a Corvette, right? But, coming from Demetrious Flannery, it's understandable, man. The brother pushing Range Rovers, Porsches, give or take during that time. Corvettes come out, I think they hit you every 3 years with a new body style. It probably was frowned upon. But say Cheese said, like, when did we basically start buying cars for Negroes? Like, basically saying we're doing it for ourselves. But my thing was, if you're not doing it for Negroes, who are you doing it for? Because with all that money, you can just go drive a Hyundai Sonata or something, right? So asking the question, since when did we start doing it for Negroes? You literally contradicting yourself. Because if you wasn't worrying about what a Negro would say, you would go buy a Hyundai, right? Like I said, give me an Escort or a Taurus wagon. And then he said, if you run into a female, y'all know what he called the female. They not tripping off, what kind of car, but you just said, since when did we start doing it for Negroes? Did you want to specify whether that female was Caucasian, white, Japanese? But if you're not doing it for Negroes, who are you doing it for? Because you can be a billionaire and just drive around and maybe a Hyundai Sonata. But that was just my insight. Corvettes, still beautiful, fast cars, but man, they came a long way. They came a long way, man. And the guys, the older guys, was 2 years older than. They was 2 grades older than me. Pushing vets outside and smoking cigars with them, man, and just coming to school with bags of money. One by the name of Willie Sutton. I always think about him. My last days of just talking to him, man. It's just the outfit that he had on that day. It was so soft, man. I'm talking about what he had on. It reminded me of somebody that worked in a funeral home. And then to make matters worse, he said, "Do you want to go to McDonald's, man? My limo is outside waiting on me." This man was getting dropped off in limos, man. But those guys from Fort Totten, when you talking about driving cars and going to the car lot, maybe spending probably during that time, like I say, that's mid '90s. They was driving 84 Z's and 85 Z's like it wasn't nothing, man. But shout out to the Corvettes. I mean, if you own a Corvette, you have a car. I mean, we can't get caught up on what Demetrious Flannery how he feel because hey man, the man had money, right? We talking about somebody who said he went to strip clubs and blew $200,000-300,000, right? So I mean, like really though, what would he care about a Corvette? Let's be honest. But if you're a hard worker, you're getting up every day, man. You a G5 worker, man, and you making you about 200,000 a year. Why not go get a Corvette? Shit, go get the hat too with it. You leave it up to me, I go get the daggone T-shirt and everything. So that's what social media does. It throws a bunch of negativity out there for the good, and then it throws some out for the best. But I wouldn't say since when do we start impressing? I mean, well, if you wasn't trying to impress nobody, you would go find you a Ford Tempo, right, or Escort, or a Dodge Aries or something, right? But shout out to MD, man. Whatever you do, continue to stay out of the way. I'm gone.